story. This is the first vet office that you worked at?
Yep. I started when I was in high school, and then just kept
stayed.
going. Yeah. Went on to vet school and worked here all through vet school, and then worked here when I graduated in 2002, and then bought the practice in 2015.
That is awesome. So I can't imagine. I bet you've been able to see lots of pets from being babies to old men and being able to take care of them their whole life. That's awesome. I would love to have been able to have a vet like you, especially because you're a holistic vet. You are also a teacher and have been trained at the Qi Institute, which the Qi Institute is Chinese herbs, acupuncture, right? It's all these wonderful, I love this place. I keep trying to beg them to let me in, and they're like, you're not a vet, you're not allowed in. And I'm like, oh, can I volunteer or help or something? But what a cool place that exists, and how awesome that you have been through it. Tell people a little bit about it, because I probably did a terrible time explaining what it is, but tell them what the Qi Institute is.
So the Qi Institute is in Florida. It's a advanced learning center for veterinarians. So we go there and learn all the things that we didn't learn in vet school, and basically it would be traditional Chinese veterinary medicine. It's been around for thousands of years, like longer than anything else. Chinese medicine has been around. I went to school there and took veterinary herbal and got certified in that. Acupuncture, Tuinhua, which is Chinese massage. It's similar to acupressure points and massage. Cool. And then food therapy, so learning how to balance foods and energetically balance them so that they eat a proper diet. And then I'm currently in at the Qi Institute, and the sister is IVMI to learn chiropractic or spinal manipulation of animals.
Amazing. I wish you were my vet. I wish I could go to someone like that. Because, I'm sure my listeners hear me say this all the time, that, these are the type of vets that we want, ones that have been taught everything. Because as we know, when you went to, vet school, you weren't taught anything about nutrition, diet and nutrition. You weren't taught anything about the endocannabinoid system, which is the system that cannabis and CBD interacts with. You certainly weren't taught about anything about Chinese herbs or anything. And it's funny because I just got finished talking to another vet, and I said, how did you find out about this? And she said, well, we used to go out and find people and invite them to come speak to us. The students did. Is that something that your school did also?
The Qi Institute? No,
not the Qi Institute. Like
Purdue?
Yeah.
I went to Purdue, which is very traditional. I think they are actually starting to be more open to Chinese medicine, and I think they have a couple certified acupuncturists at the school now.
Oh, awesome.
No, they sent out a call out and said, hey, anybody interested in Chinese medicine? And it was like a 2-day seminar, and I was like, sure. So I went, and I was instantly hooked. I was like, I think it makes a healer a better doctor because I have more tools in my toolbox.
Right.
And so I can use conventional exams, conventional diagnostics, but the Chinese, they didn't have lab work and x-rays. And so everything was done with their senses, with vision and touching and feeling. And so I can find things on dogs that you wouldn't see. Biggest example, I have a 11-year-old Labrador that started coming here 2 years ago. She just came for an annual checkup, a wellness exam, and I checked her over, and she was showing me signs of blood deficiency in Chinese medicine. And so I was like, there's something not right. We need to do some blood work. And we did blood work, and it ended up showing an increase in lymphocytes. So she basically has lymphoma, and I was able to diagnose it on Chinese principles before the dog ever started showing problems. And so she's been on Chinese herbs. She just celebrated her birthday, 2 years with lymphoma.
Wow.
No radiation, no chemotherapy. It's all Chinese herbs and acupuncture.
Right. So what happens to me is around these parts, I'm known as the crazy cannabis lady, and people who, who've tried everything conventionally and don't want to give up, the vets tell them about me, or they give up the pet and then the vet gives them to me. And all I know is cannabis. I mean, of course, I know about diet and nutrition. So diet and nutrition and cannabis has been my amazing healer. And it's the same thing where, I could see, I know this dog has lymphoma. I could see all of it. I thought it was just fat. And then I
Right.
got the dog to the regular size and this was all still here. And then I could physically feel the tumors. And she's got Cushing's and everything else in the world, but changing her diet and putting her on high milligram full spectrum, she's insane. She still looks like an old dog because she's got, the hanging belly, but she hauls around this yard and with the pack like she's a puppy again. And there's just no denying it. I can't imagine also being able to add Chinese herbs into it. I mean, it's something I'm going to learn next because I love it. I'm doing massage next because I'm just so fascinated by just the little I've learned and how that's something that I could really do. But yeah, it's people, I have this show because more than anything, I want people to realize that you don't have to run to a prescription medication. You don't have to run to surgery. I feel like there's this big disconnect between what we know, even if I know how to take care of myself and diet and nutrition and when to see the doctor or not, I still didn't correlate that what I go through, my dog goes through also.
Right.
Especially when it comes to allergies or food or nutrition or acupuncture or chiropractic, all these things that I do for myself that I know work for a fact, they work for our pets. So it's like, how do we not think that way? So I'm constantly reminding people, your dog's getting old,
Right.
joints hurt. You've been feeding them that kibble their whole life. It's time to do something else. What do you see the most of at your practice? Do you see a lot of older dogs suddenly having issues?
We have a lot of the clients that you have where they've come to us for the last ditch. They're like, but my vet can't do anything. What can you do? And we're like, oh, we could do all sorts of stuff. We always focus on nutrition. We want our dogs and our cats to be eating a species appropriate diet, so moisture rich. I prefer raw or home cooked, but even canned is fine. So we do get a lot of clients that are on like their last ditch effort, like do something or I have to put my dog to sleep. Our goal is to start getting more word out so that people know and bring their puppies in right from the beginning so that we have less issues. If we can get them on the right foot to begin with, then we're going to not have as much cancer and arthritis and things like that.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but this is hilarious. So I have this one family, they have 4 dogs. If they're listening, forgive me, but so they lost once. They had 3 dogs and they all had issues and they had on all kinds of prescription meds. And I'm like, look, just change their food. This is that. I'm telling you. So I finally get them to switch their food to raw.
Mm-hmm.
And they have them all raw. They get a new puppy and I take care of them all the time. So they come here and the puppy's got kibble. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Let's start this right. And she goes, oh, I'm sure the vet hates me by now. She said the vet said that he has to be on kibble for his first year of life. I'm like,
and that's the worst time to be on kibble. We need them on a good diet to start them off correct on the right foot.
So tell them that's right. Why do we not load them up with vaccines all the time? Why do we want them to eat a fresh and raw diet? Tell them, please.
Just tell them in general.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the foundation to health is good nutrition and not getting a bunch of chemicals and stuff, not exposing our body to any more chemicals than we have to. I mean, the world is full of chemicals. And so we believe, I'm not an anti-vaccine. I believe in vaccines, but I don't think that every dog should get every single vaccine that's available. They should be given to them based on their lifestyle, their age, and please, if your dog is sick and has cancer, do not get vaccines. If your body is trying to deal with cancer, you wouldn't go, if you were in lymphoma, you wouldn't go to the doctor and get a flu vaccine. You wouldn't. Right. And so people need to start advocating for their pets and knowing what makes sense to me and for me makes sense for my dog. I mean, your doctor doesn't tell you to eat Pizza Hut and Arby's. They tell you to eat fresh whole foods, fresh fruits, fresh vegetables. And it's the same thing with our pets. They need to eat real food and not processed food that has a bunch of chemicals and stuff in it.
And it's A Dog's Life, and I'm here with Dr. Carlson, and you are what do we call you? The chief vet? It's your vet office. Chief
It's my
vet,
practice. I'm just the
your
owner.
practice. South Lake Animal Hospital in Indiana. I know you're outside of Chicago, but not in Chicago. Where are you again?
It's Northwest Indiana. So.
Northwest Indiana. Awesome. So we were talking about Chinese herbs, and I know you know those left and right. And one of my favorite things about you is that, and you know what, I have never met a vet who has gone to the Chi Institute that isn't into learning and practicing and researching medical cannabis and CBD, because it's the ultimate herb. It's the most famous one of all that we finally get to use for our animals. So what are some of, now you've been practicing with it or using it, looking at it for over 5 years now, right?
Yep. I bought the practice in 2015, and it was a conventional practice, and I converted it to an integrative practice. And
Awesome.
we started carrying CBD products, and we've tried 2 or 3 different companies, and people were just not seeing anything. They're like, I don't see anything. It's not working, and it's expensive. And then we were introduced to CBD Dog and started that a couple months ago, and we have seen a tremendous difference. All of our patients they're seeing it because it's full spectrum, and we're dosing it based on disease conditions rather than body weight, and I think that really helps.
Which is, I'm a renegade in the industry because I refuse to do it by weight, but I went to school and learned about medical cannabis and how it works and how it interacts. So I made formulations because I couldn't find anything in 2015. I could only find human products that they would go put a paw print on and go, yeah, we have an animal product, and it would have things in it like xylitol or stevia and things that, flavorings that are terrible for dogs. I'm like, this isn't medicine. I'm not looking for recreational for dogs. I'm looking for a medicine for my dogs. Right. So I ended up making my own, based on what I learned how to make a medicine and what worked together. So I didn't know so many people were going to just put out hemp seed oil or broad spectrum, or like the first time I saw a broad spectrum product, I was extremely confused of why. I knew why it existed in the human market, but why the heck is it in the animal market? Oh, because we're going to release a product before the farm bill. B, we're going to perpetuate the fear of THC, and we can't. CBD and THC are the most important components of making it a real medicine. So I'm so glad you found it. And we're constantly battling people who are going, my vet says it's not safe, it'll kill my dog. Just like where the hell don't feed a dog raw or fresh when it's a puppy. Where the hell I know that didn't get taught. That's just a stupid opinion. That's just an ignorant opinion I do remember asking somebody, and they said, now what's most important is that the puppy gets all the right nutrition in its puppy years. Right. And they think that vet probably thought, so they'll get all that if you're feeding them kibble.
Right. I think before, when people were doing their do yourself raw, and they were having unbalances, and that's where the fear of feeding puppies raw food came from. But if you're feeding a commercially balanced food or a complete and balanced recipe, the puppies are going to thrive. We see puppies, like I show my dogs too, and we'll take them to a dog show. They eat raw. They don't get kennel cough. They don't come home with diarrhea, but those kibble-fed dogs have a poor immune system, and they end up getting sick because they just don't have what they need.
And that's because it's feeding their immune system. It's feeding their gut microbiome that's going to help feed their immune system and keep them healthy, so that if they do get, in a room where there is sickness, their body knows how to fight it off, or is able to fight it off quickly, or it doesn't even affect them at all. Is that true?
Right.
I love it. I love being able to support their immune system like that. And that's what I'm sure Chinese herbs do, because that's what medical cannabis does. That's what CBD does. It helps support the immune system so the immune system can fight off and kill whatever it is, unless it's cancer.
Right.
unless it's tumors. And then we have this wonderful thing where two molecules in this wonderful plant interact with our endocannabinoid system, and CBD slows the growth of cancer and tumors, and THC kills it. And I know you've had some experience with adding full spectrum medicine cannabis to some of your cancer patients. Can you tell us some of the stories?
I think the biggest thing that we see is it helps, it just resets the body. It makes the bodies do its function better. I really like that it helps with appetite. It overall helps with feeling good and not having pain and inflammation. And then just having that extra, I love that your product is full spectrum. And that's the same thing with Chinese medicine. When we take a medicine, say Lasix, that's a diuretic that makes a dog pee, we take one little chemical out of the plant and we say, here, this is how it works. But it doesn't work the same in the body when you take it away from everything else. And so with your CBD, it's full spectrum. We're using the entire plant, all the things in there that are meant to work together, just with Chinese medicine. I mean, when we're using, say, Rehmannia, we're not just pulling Rehmannia chemicals out. We're using the entire Rehmannia plant when we're using an herb.
Right. And I don't think people understand. They'd be like, well, then why would they do that? And what people need to understand is that because this is a plant, or because these are natural herbs and plants that grow out of the earth, someone can't patent them and make them a pharmaceutical drug and make millions and millions of dollars off of them. What they do instead is just they take a little bit part of it, add a whole bunch of stuff, and then make it their own thing. You know, it's happening. It's why these medicines are kept from us. It's why we are still fighting to have medical cannabis legal in all 50 states. It's ridiculous. It's why our vets haven't been taught it. Our doctors haven't been taught about it. So it's something that we have to learn on our own, and then we have to share our story. So I always tell everybody, I will introduce you. I have hundreds of vets now that are using it, that believe in it, that have researched it. I have other vets that have researched it but are too scared to use it because they're scared of the repercussions because of the state they live in. As you know, California's vet board came out and said, yep, you can't talk about it. And they had to fight for the right to even be able to talk about it. It's ridiculous.
It is.
So they can't deny it. They can't deny the amount of people whose dogs are literally being saved by this. They can't deny Chinese medicine because of for the same reason. We're going to continue to go find the best ways to heal our dogs naturally, because that's what we should be doing. Right. You know, tell me some of your favorite stories. Like when you first practiced, you know, something with Chinese medicine, like tell me your first, like even cannabis, I go, okay, I know it's going to do this, so I'm going to treat this. And then like I've gotten rid of cancer in 30 days with diet and cannabis.
I don't ever make those claims, but I always tell people to try.
I know. I'm not even making a claim. It's just what happened.
Right.
You know, right. Where I'm just I can't believe it. And thank God I was really bad in the beginning because I didn't document everything. And now I'm like, I have to document everything because people aren't going to believe how fast this tumor exploded and went away, you know, right. Or right. How fast this dog got up and started walking the moment that the pain and inflammation went away. So I would love to hear some of your stories like that, where sometimes it's just as simple as changing the diet.
Yeah. The diet is a big thing. I mean, that's what we always start with first. My personal dog is going through, he's 9 months old. He's a puppy. And he goes to a trainer once a week and he learns stuff. And I started him on the CBD about a month ago. And she goes, what's changed in the last month? I said, why? She said, he's more focused. He wants to learn. He's not, you know, just scattered and trying to do other things. He's not barking. He's actually sitting and listening. And I said, I just started him on CBD, and that was it. He actually gets the ease because I have an older girl, so they get just one dropper full before bed, and that has made a tremendous difference with him and just being willing to learn and just calming down just enough so that he can learn.
It's amazing. It's kind of like your child has ADD, and it kind of just, what it does is quiet the activity in their brain and allows them to focus or relax. I mean, that's what it does for me, you know?
Right. It
And
also
I love that
triggers
it's,
inflammation, and I mean, inflammation is the number one cause of cancer. And so if we have dogs on CBD, even from the beginning, we can balance out their body and prevent all the inflammation that occurs in our body and hopefully help prevent cancer.
yeah, thank you so much for saying that. I know that people are always like, is it safe for a puppy, just like raw or fresh feeding? And I'm always like, absolutely. You can be born with a deficiency in your endocannabinoid system. If the dog wasn't, didn't get breast milk, wasn't fed, wasn't fed from his mom long enough, or wasn't with his mom, whatever it is, or was fixed too soon, or got vaccinated, or there's so many things that can happen, and it's going to absolutely support their immune system. And what people don't understand is that you gave it to them at night before bed. What it does is, I always say, imagine the endocannabinoid system has these holes in it, and so it's filling these holes. It's helping everything get to homeostasis, where then they can act normal, they can heal themselves. So I really appreciate you trying it on your puppy and having that wonderful experience, because it happens all the time. I have a Aussie here, and she wants attention, but it's Angela Ardolino, and we're back. We're here with Dr. Andrea Carlson. Hi. And we are talking everything natural healing, feeding raw and fresh, make sure it's balanced. You're right. When people say, how do you do it? It's too hard. I'm like, I just made a whole list of wonderful food companies that people can go to. They can go to thetruthAboutPetCancer.com and see Susan Thixton's full list of, in case you can't find some of them. But yeah, it's very easy now. And the more that you support their immune system, the less you'll have to go see a vet, for those problems.
That's what I always tell people, is get the food in and build a good foundation, and then you don't have to spend as much money at the veterinary clinic.
What are some things that of course, we just said medical cannabis, and we said that diet is important, but what are some other things that pet parents can do to be proactive and keep their dogs from getting cancer or some of these other diseases?
So nutrition is important. So definitely feeding species appropriate, moisture rich diet, whether it's home cooked, raw, canned is okay, but home cooked or raw is best. And like you said, there's tons and tons of companies that are available that have complete balanced. Definitely keeping inflammation down. So the CBD works good to decrease inflammation. Not exposing our pets to too many vaccines, so giving them appropriate vaccines spaced correctly, and then watching other chemicals and drugs. Not every problem needs to be fixed with a drug. There's plenty of natural choices, supplements, Chinese herbs that can help.
And they should turn to those natural things first to see if they work, because usually it's just something that's off balance and needs to be brought back to balance.
Exactly. And that's the foundation of Chinese medicine, is getting everything back in balance.
I love it. Instead, what seems to happen all the time is they go in, they're off balance, they get given some sort of drug without even knowing why they're off balance, which then spirals out of control. Then you have so many problems, and it's like, okay, well, let's get off all of these prescription meds and get back to the beginning, and then let's see what we can do from there. And then it's like, oh, done. Yeah. It's amazing how fast. 18-year-old dogs I've seen completely do a turnaround with just changing and giving them the right diet. It's amazing. And people are so worried about switching them. And I'm like, when it's a life or death situation, I'm going to feel more comfortable giving them a full, fresh, nutritional food than continuing to give them kibble, which I know is not doing anything but harming them.
Right. And people can be there. I know holistic vets are harder to find, but there's several resources. You can look at the chiinstitute.org.
Ooh, you can?
Yeah, Chi Institute.
And they list out. I didn't know that.
Find a vet. So those are all veterinarians that have been trained in traditional Chinese veterinary medicine. The AHVMA, American Holistic Veterinary Medical Society, has a vet list as well.
AHVMA.org. I know that one.
Yeah. And then the chiinstitute.org. and even some of the acupuncture schools. So IVAS, International Veterinary Acupuncture Society. There's Options, which is the chiropractic school. So the more you find vets that are trained in other modalities rather than just conventional medicine, they're going to be able to help you with nutrition. They're going to be able to help you with supplements and herbs. And a lot of holistic vets will do phone consults or telemedicine. So as long as you have a diagnosis from a regular vet, most of us will do telemedicine holistic consults to help you get you on the right track and help you weed through which drugs are, okay, so a dog in congestive heart failure is going to probably get some drugs, but we can also support the heart and help it so that it doesn't need as many drugs.
Okay, so what you're telling me is that I could do a consult with you.
Yes.
From here.
Right now. Well, maybe not right now, but yes, we could.
Okay, well, that is awesome. I have been asking about this. Our chief vet that came on is working hard on it. And it's so, I'm like, this is what we want, because I'm not kidding you how often people reach out to me for a recommendation and I can't say anything because I don't have anyone around me or I'm like, my favorites are, you can't get to them.
Right.
And Dr. Judy Morgan does the same thing. So now I've been able to say that. So I would love to be able to share that with you, because the biggest thing also is that I get the people that want to use medical cannabis switch over to one of the CBD dog health products, but they're on other prescription medications and they're scared to death of how do they get them off that or wean them off at the same time. And of course, I'm not going to tell them that because I'm not a vet. So now I have these options. So I'm literally going to make a blog and put it out because I can't, there's so many people that live in places that they can't get the raw food, the good brands that we know. So they're going to have to learn how to make it or get it, and don't have a vet, a holistic vet, much less, and all holistic vets are also not made equal. That's why I'm probably going to start going for the Chi Institute's list more than anything, because I feel like that's a sure thing. I mean, you went out and learned. You went out on your own and learned more. You knew there was more. So to me, I want my vet to be that way. So thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. So I'm certainly going to tell them how to get in touch with you, but how can people get in touch with you and follow you and find out more information?
Our website is probably the best. It's www.maryvillevets.com. There is information in there. It'll say new clients, and then there's direct links to sign up for telemedicine consults. We do have to do a little bit of paperwork ahead of time, because you have to basically be a client, and I have to have your record and everything, and I'll need all the records from your other vet. So as a telemedicine consult, I cannot diagnose a problem over the phone or via video, but if you already have a diagnosis, say like your old dog that's arthritic and they want to get it off Rimadyl, I can help them get off Rimadyl, be on the CBD dog. I could send herbs because we already have a diagnosis. So
awesome. And that's what they need, right? That's what they want and need the most, because even if their vet is open to it, or we even have lots of people who say that the vet said, I've heard great things about CBD, try it. And they go, okay, which one? And they're like, I don't know. Do your research. Or how do I wean off a prescription med onto an all natural? So that is the biggest thing that I know pet parents want more than anything, is how to do it. And same thing with food. Let's say I've got an old dog that's on, like one of my dogs that we had at our rescue, tons of prescription meds, kibble food. I would have loved for, to have had someone hold my hand and know that what I was doing was great. I did everything I learned and it worked out perfect, but still, knowing that
scary. Yeah.
It gets scary. Or even her, I didn't even know, she'd have 4-gram mall seizures a day. So I had only 100 milligrams would stop her from having any seizures. And she was a Chihuahua. So I would have never thought that, but that's what it took. So having people knowing that they're not going to hurt their dog, because you can't overdose and hurt the dog permanently with with a full spectrum, and to go ahead and trust that, you know, if you need, you may have to give that much to stop a seizure from happening.
The worst that would happen is a dog would be sleepy. I mean, you're not going to kill a dog with CBD or a cat. It's only balancing out our own body. So if it's something extra and we don't need it, we're just going to pee it out. So
that's right.
It's not going to hurt them.
Awesome. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon half hour with me. I really appreciate it. It's so awesome to be able to talk to you. I'd love to do it again. I feel like let's have another one in 6 months and talk about more successes we've had with cannabis medicine, because I just want to keep on sharing it with everyone because it's wonderful. It saved all my dogs. It saved me. So I appreciate you being a renegade.
They call me the crazy vet in Indiana. So you're the crazy cannabis lady. I'm the crazy vet.
Good. Well, one day when we're able to leave our cities again, I can't wait to see you at a holistic event in your town, or when I'm in your town, I'll come see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.